I was 43 years old, I felt blindsided by perimenopause. During that time, I was doing everything right, everything that had worked for years. Eating really well, exercising multiple times a week, and finally sleeping again. And out of nowhere, my energy plummeted. My brain felt foggy. My intense headaches came back with a vengeance. And weight started accumulating in ways that I couldn't explain. And the most unsettling part was that nothing about my lifestyle had fundamentally changed. Yet, I felt like a shell of my former self. Initially, I doubted and second-guessed what I was experiencing. And it wasn't until I started tracking my symptoms to my cycle that I finally figured it out. The body always leaves clues. And as a women's health practitioner with more than 17 years of clinical experience, I thought I understood the full spectrum of perimenopause and menopause until it happened to me. And suddenly, I found myself asking a question that millions of women quietly ask themselves in their 40s and 50s. What is happening to my body? It turns out I was in early perimenopause, and it hit me like a ton of bricks because I had barely gotten out of postpartum with my 2-year-old son, Kingston. Here I am with my son, Kingston, just months prior to the symptoms hitting me like a freight train. And he is here with me today, somewhere out here, and I cannot tell you how grateful I am. I felt completely unprepared for the physical, cognitive, and emotional changes that I was experiencing. Not because the research didn't exist, although it's still lacking in many areas of women's health, but because it isn't being translated in a way that truly supports women in midlife. Women often feel dismissed when they seek care. They're told that this season of life is just aging, it's stress, something to push through at all costs. And as a result, perimenopause is one of the most under-discussed, yet inevitable transitions of a woman's life. And today, I am going to show you how to know if you're in perimenopause or menopause, and most importantly, how to move through midlife with strength, resilience, and clarity, no matter your age. Let's do this. So what is perimenopause? Perimenopause is defined as the transitional stage leading to menopause, typically lasting 4 to 10 plus years, when hormones are shifting significantly. Perimenopause has 2 distinct stages. In early perimenopause, cycles are mostly regular, but the communication between the ovaries and the brain becomes disconnected. It's like when you're on the phone and it's staticky, and as a result, hormone rhythms start to shift. And this is when many women start to notice changes. Some more subtle, some way more noticeable, like worsening PMS, mood swings, body composition changes, and heightened stress. It can leave you feeling like you're not yourself. These shifts happen because more cycles skip ovulation, which lowers progesterone during that luteal phase of your cycle. I want you to think of progesterone as your body's calm signal. And when that signal drops, energy dips, moods fluctuate, and stress, it becomes hard to manage. Now, in late perimenopause, cycles are clearly irregular. Sometimes they're shorter, longer, or skipped altogether for months at a time. Ovulation becomes less consistent, and progesterone and estrogen decline even further. This is when symptoms often intensify, including sleep disruption, hot flashes, joint pain, mood changes, and more noticeable metabolic shifts. Now, I want to take a moment and answer one of the most important questions I get asked every single week. How do you know if you're in perimenopause? This is such an important question because perimenopause, it doesn't announce itself with a clear starting date. It doesn't show up with a single lab test or one day in time like menopause. It tends to emerge gradually, often mistaken as stress or burnout or misdiagnosed entirely. And here's what I want you to know, that perimenopause is a clinical diagnosis based primarily on cycle changes, your age, and over 50 different physical, emotional, and cognitive symptoms. And this is because during this transition, hormones are in a big roller coaster. These shifts happen over a course of years. We see increased estrogen variability, as you see here on the graph. We also see early consistent progesterone decline, primarily due to those cycles without ovulation. Even testosterone and melatonin featured here are declining during this transition, which can impact cognition, motivation, sleep, and even mental energy. And these hormone shifts don't just affect your cycle. This isn't just a reproductive transition. They directly impact every major system of the body. And as a result, perimenopause is equally as destabilizing as it is transformative. So now that we've defined perimenopause, I want to define menopause and postmenopause and share some important stats about midlife. So menopause is considered a moment. It's that one day in time defined as 12 consecutive months without a menstrual cycle. And then postmenopause is really a stage. It's everything that comes after that menopause moment, when levels of hormones remain consistently low. Now, often I personally use the term menopause more broadly to describe all of that transition, the years after that menopause moment, not just the single moment in time. Now, I want to anchor us to the data for just a second, because you deserve to know this information. The average age of menopause globally is 51 years old. Natural menopause, although, can happen anywhere between 45 years old and 55 years old. We're talking a 10-year span. Early onset menopause is before the age of 45. Premature menopause and ovarian insufficiency is before the age of 40. And then the perimenopause transition can last on average, like with my patients, 7 to 10 years, starting as early as your mid-30s or late 30s. But most of my patients start to notice changes in their very early 40s. Now, globally, there are over 1 billion women in menopause right now, with millions in perimenopause. And when we break this down over our lifetime, over 40% of our lives are spent in perimenopause and beyond, which means this is not a niche issue. We're talking about 50% of the population. This is one of the most significant women's health transitions that women will ever experience, and it can profoundly impact their quality of life. Now, most people think that perimenopause looks like hot flashes, night sweats, irregular periods. And yes, those are common symptoms of perimenopause, especially late perimenopause and menopause. But what many women don't realize is that the real changes of perimenopause often begin before the classic symptoms appear. Quiet shifts begin happening at a cellular level in the brain, gut, metabolism, in our bones, and lean muscle mass, in how we handle stress, and how our bodies regulate blood sugar, cholesterol, and inflammation. These changes are happening silently, while women are still juggling the mental, physical, and emotional load of careers, families, households, responsibilities, and a very full life. Which is why so many women are caught off guard. Because what it often looks like is this in everyday life. You walk into a room and you forget why you went in there. You lose a word mid-sentence you've used your entire life. Words like fork, phone. What's that word again? I don't remember. You wake up at 3 a.m. with your mind racing for no reason. You feel exhausted even though you slept. You still look like yourself on the outside, but something feels off on the inside, but you can't explain why. And slowly, a thought creeps in that most women are afraid to say out loud. What is wrong with me? This is what I call the silent shift. Let me ask you something honestly. Have you ever experienced these subtle shifts in midlife? Trouble focusing when you used to feel sharp. Energy that just isn't there anymore. Sleep that suddenly stops working. Feeling off, but not knowing why. If that is you, I want you to raise your hand for a moment. Now look around. Because for a long time, women thought they were the only ones going through this. That they were crazy. Like something was wrong with them. But the truth is, we've all just been quietly Googling the same symptoms at 2 a.m. I want you to know that this isn't a personal failure. It's a shared biological transition that millions of women are navigating right now, often without explanation and support. Now, one of the most significant shifts in perimenopause is happening in your brain. This is why perimenopause is called a neuroendocrine transition. During this neuroendocrine transition, the brain is actively adapting, often described as a second puberty. And this recalibration process can take years, just like your first puberty, but longer and a higher stakes game. That's why so many women experience brain-related symptoms in midlife. Here is what the research tells us. Estradiol is a key regulator of the female brain. It's neuroprotective, it's anti-inflammatory, it supports the communication between neurons, and it plays a critical role in brain glucose metabolism, how the brain processes and uses energy. Estrogen also influences neurotransmitters like serotonin, dopamine, and GABA, which regulates our mood, motivation, and emotional resilience. Think of it this way. For decades, estrogen has been the CEO of your brain, showing up consistently, running things on a predictable schedule, and then perimenopause hits, and your CEO starts showing up late, or not at all. One day, estrogen is there first thing in the morning. The next day, it doesn't show up until late afternoon. And your brain is left trying to adapt to that level of unpredictability. And that is why it feels so deeply destabilizing. Progesterone also plays a key role in calming the brain through a neurosteroid called allopregnanolone. It influences sleep, our stress response, and mood. So when progesterone declines, we feel it. Now, we have imaging studies that clearly demonstrate this. In Dr. Lisa Mosconi's work, medical imaging shows that during perimenopause, the brain's ability to use glucose, its primary fuel source, begins to decline. This reduction in glucose metabolism reflects a broader neuroendocrine transition, not a permanent decline. And more importantly, most women will stabilize later in menopause. But during perimenopause and even early menopause, your brain starts producing energy less efficiently. And that's when you may notice you feel foggy and your thoughts just aren't connecting the way that they used to. Mental energy dips and you can't seem to multitask. Sleep becomes unpredictable, especially with night sweats, and emotionally, you just may feel more reactive. This transition is not just hormonal. It's neurological and it's metabolic, which is why so many women say that I don't feel like myself anymore. Not because something is wrong with you, but because your brain is adapting. And that's why this stage of life matters so much, because the changes that begin quietly in your 40s and 50s is shaping your future brain health, heart health, and long-term vitality for decades to come. So perimenopause is not the beginning of a decline. It's actually the perfect window of opportunity. And when you understand that your body and brain are recalibrating for your most powerful chapter yet, your perspective and mindset begins to shift. Because what begins in midlife is shaping your future health outcomes. And what we're seeing in the data right now is very promising. We now know that there is so much that we can do to future-proof our health. So instead of trying to survive midlife at all cost, we get to partner with our evolving biology. And that is exactly what the perimenopause revolution is all about. And more importantly, we are all in this together. Right now, your body is asking for a new level of support. More blood sugar stability, more strength and daily movement, deeper sleep and recovery, more nervous system regulation, more intentional nourishment and gut support, and more importantly, soul sister connection and community. And that's what doTERRA is all about. And when women begin supporting their bodies in this way, energy comes back online. Their metabolism starts to feel steady. Mental clarity returns. And the thing that I hear all of the time is I finally feel like myself again. So the question becomes, what does your body need from you now? And that is where we move into ownership by tapping into your body's wisdom. Because once you understand what your body needs, you stop second guessing and you start getting clarity. And clarity, that is powerful. So let's talk about how to start building agency over your body. Because I need you to know that you are the CEO of your health, and nobody knows your body better than you. First things first, you need to know your numbers. I'm talking about your lab numbers. I want you to get a baseline. I want you to track them annually, because what you don't measure, you can't improve. Second, I want you to track your lived data. Your energy, your sleep, your mood, cycle changes, if you're still cycling. Because when you start tracking your lived data, you can start making daily lifestyle pivots based on what your body needs. Third, I want you to start paying attention to early signs and signals. Track your symptoms across your cycle. Notice cycle changes. Are you feeling wired and tired before bed? Are you waking up in the middle of the night? Mood shifts, low stress tolerance, energy dips, PMS changes, and being irritated by things that never used to bother you, like someone chewing loudly next to you, or breathing. You know who I'm talking about. With this information, you are no longer guessing. You are making decisions based on your physiology, and that level of awareness allows you to advocate more for personalized care, which leads me to number 4. Advocate for yourself. Because most women are told to wait. Wait until symptoms get worse. Wait until your labs are abnormal or pathological. Wait until menopause is complete. In fact, women often see multiple providers before they ever get real answers. A recent study of 6,000 women in the UK found that 1/3 of women had between 2 and 5 appointments before their symptoms were linked to perimenopause or menopause. And in the US, it's on average 4 to 6 appointments. So I want you to know, you are not imagining your symptoms. You deserve to be taken seriously. Advocating for yourself in menopause care is not being difficult. It's a part of getting the answers that you deserve. You are allowed to ask why things are being done in a certain way. You are allowed to request testing. You are allowed to question timelines, protocols, next steps. And as a clinician, I am not meant to be the gatekeeper of your information. You deserve to understand what is happening in your body and in your care. And you are allowed to take up space in your healthcare. Here's how to take up that space. I want you to show up to your next doctor's appointment prepared, like it's a very important meeting. Write down your most important symptoms and questions. You bring that paper to the doctor's office. You bring your data, your lib data, your lab data. You ask for the labs and the imaging that you need because you deserve a gold standard of care. So now that you know what to look out for when it comes to your healthcare, let's talk about the most important steps of all. Because here's the challenge that I see all too often. Even when women have the data, they can still feel stuck. Why? Because they haven't been shown what to do with it. And that's where the power to transform your health lies. Because when you understand how to act on the signals that your body is sending, you unlock the power to support yourself. Not with more effort. We are done over-efforting, but with the right, consistent habits. And this is exactly what the 5 pillars of midlife resilience are designed to help you do. These are the foundational pillars of the perimenopause revolution. Because midlife health isn't built on one perfect habit. It's built on small things that you do consistently throughout the day. Remember, roughly 80% of your future health outcomes are determined by what you do every single day. Your nutrition, your movement, your sleep, your self-care and connection. It's the small choices that you make right now that compound into long-term resilience. And you deserve to feel resilient. You are worthy of healing. So let's start to build those lifestyle pillars for you today. Let's start with pillar number 1. Which is blood sugar, and it's my favorite pillar. If you focus on one thing, start here, because blood sugar stability is the #1 metabolic lever in midlife. When blood sugar is unstable, it drives fatigue, cravings, brain fog, stubborn weight gain, especially dangerous visceral fat. So instead of chasing the symptoms, start by stabilizing blood sugar and support your cellular energy. And one of the simplest, most underrated longevity hacks is walking after your biggest meals. And then, walk some more. Research shows that movement 30 minutes to 90 minutes after eating, that postprandial window, can significantly reduce glucose spikes and support metabolic flexibility. Even a 10 to 15 minute walk can improve blood sugar control. But here is what I really want you to know. How you start your morning sets the tone for your blood sugar and your energy all day long. When blood sugar spikes and crashes, it creates a cascade of hormonal stress signals, impacting your energy and your mood. So one of the most powerful things that you can do is stabilize your blood sugar first thing in the morning. So I want to share an easy system that has worked for my patients. I call it the morning metabolic ignition method. It is 4 simple steps that helps your body feel stable and energized for the day. So first thing in the morning, I want you to move your body. Maybe it's 10 squats, a quick stretch, yoga, walking around your block. What I love about this is that you're waking up your muscles and you're improving your insulin sensitivity. You're also supporting your mitochondria. Number 2 is hydrate before coffee or tea. Your body is naturally dehydrated in the morning. Hydration supports your gut, your liver, your whole body, and this is why I love doTERRA's Recharge electrolytes. Just add them into your water and you're good to go. Number 3 is get morning sunlight. This anchors your circadian rhythm, which positively impacts your sleep, your hormones, and your mitochondria. And number 4 is prioritizing protein and fiber in the morning. Protein and fiber and a little bit of fats at breakfast steadies blood sugar and energy and significantly reduces cravings throughout the day. Now, alongside of the lifestyle habits, I also want you to support your cellular energy with a supplement stack. So first, I want to focus on VMG+. Who's taking VMG+? Everybody? Okay, good. I love it because it has a full spectrum of vitamins and minerals. It's easy to do. You literally add it to step number 2, add it to your water. I love to squeeze lemon in it as well. And then second is your essential omega fatty acids. Omega Plus contains 900 milligrams of essential omega-3 fatty acids known to support your heart, your brain, and your immune function. And then 3, metabolic support, right? MetaPower Advantage contains 9 types of collagen tripeptides and NAD+ to support your cognitive function, your lean muscle, and your connective tissue. These foundational solutions work alongside of those habits in the morning to help you feel energized. And when you are feeling energized, you have the capacity to do pillar number 2, which is movement. In midlife, muscle becomes non-negotiable. Muscle isn't just for fitness, it's critical metabolic currency. It plays a key role in insulin sensitivity, bone density, and long-term health outcomes. Research consistently shows that women with higher muscle mass, especially in the legs, have a significantly lower risk of chronic disease and early mortality. This isn't just about looking strong. This is about longevity. Studies indicate that even just 2 sessions of resistance training per week has been shown to improve metabolic health and reduce the risk of long-term disease. But here's where people get stuck. They think it has to be an hour-long workout at the gym. It doesn't. Even a focused 20-minute resistance training session in your home, in your living room, done consistently, can improve your strength, your muscle mass, and insulin sensitivity. And here's the part that I think most people miss, because it's not just about the designated workout, right? You can't work out for 30 minutes and then sit for 8 hours. It doesn't work that way. It's about how often you're moving your body throughout the day. It's about building your life around movement. Research shows that movement as simple as walking around 4,000 steps a day, which you're tripling that at convention right now, can significantly reduce the risk of cognitive decline and support long-term brain health. Your cellular energy responds to frequency and physical activity, not just intensity. It's about those small, consistent movements throughout the day that matter the most, which is why I love teaching about exercise snacks. Now, it's not snacking in between exercise, okay? It's not. Exercise snacks are short bursts of movement throughout the day. I'm talking 2 to 5 minutes at a time. It revs your heart rate. So we're looking at a brisk 5-minute walk after meals, going up and down your stairs with weights, 20 jump squats or jack squats. I'm not gonna make you do them today. I thought about it. Or even doing jumping jacks between meetings. These short bursts of movement add up throughout your day to keep your muscles active, to help you burn fat, and instantly boost your mental energy. Now, this is my favorite part. No gym equipment or gym required. You can do these anytime, anywhere. If you know me personally, I am doing them on an airplane. I'm doing them at the grocery store. I'm doing them at the playground. I'm doing them at pickup. I'm that lady who's doing jump squats pretty much everywhere I go. And my favorite hack that I want to share with you right now is, you know when you feel like a zombie at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon? I want you to pair peppermint oil with an exercise snack. I prefer jump squats for an extra mid-afternoon boost. I promise it'll change your life. So when it comes to essential oils for energy, focus, and recovery, my favorite go-tos, and I have a feeling they're yours too, is gonna be peppermint, deep blue. Who has deep blue with them right now? Everybody, right? Everyone. And motivate. I call motivate the get stuff done blend. When women start building their life around consistent movement, something amazing happens. Their sleep becomes deeper, more restorative. Does anyone want deeper restorative sleep, right? Do those jump squats. And they wake up feeling more well-rested and ready to go after their dreams. Which leads me to pillar number 3, your force multiplier. When sleep is off, everything feels harder. I don't know about you, but sleep will make or break me the next day. And some of you in this room probably felt that traveling here. I know I did. When sleep is consistently off, we see increases in inflammation, insulin resistance, and disruption in hunger hormones, leading to more cravings and overeating. Even one night of sleep disruption can reduce insulin sensitivity by 20 to 30%. And this is exactly what so many women are experiencing in midlife. In fact, 40 to 60+% of women in perimenopause and menopause report struggling with sleep. Sleep becomes unpredictable, you're waking up in the middle of the night, your mind stops racing, you can't seem to turn it off. So instead of trying to fight or force sleep, let's be intentional about setting the tone for nervous system regulation and honoring our circadian rhythm throughout the day. Now, based on years of helping my patients achieve deep restorative sleep in midlife, I developed a simple framework called the Sacred Sleep Reset. Because I believe that we need to protect our sleep like it is a sacred act. Now, restorative sleep is foundational for overall health, especially in midlife. And a consistent sleep-wake cycle is essential. And this is why your circadian rhythm thrives on predictability. And keeping a regular bedtime and wake-up time, that helps to balance cortisol, it optimizes melatonin production, and signals to your brain and hormones that it's time to go to bed. Number 2 is going to be dimming the lights and reducing screen time. This is key for melatonin production. Research shows that exposure to blue light disrupts melatonin synthesis. So turning off screens at least 1 hour before bed and using only dim red or amber light can significantly enhance sleep onset. Also, reading a book instead of scrolling on your phone activates a much needed wind down. Number 3 is just taking a moment, having some rituals, like slowing down your breath. I love the 4-7-8 breath, or practicing a meditation to just calm the mind. These rituals engage the parasympathetic nervous system, shifting your body from more of a wired and tired mode into rest and recovery. And for added support, I know you're already doing this, but please use your oils. Oils like lavender, serenity, which is what we use every single night in our house. I love the oil and the soft gels. Clary sage. These oils promote calm, they regulate the nervous system, and they provide the body with a natural transition into sleep. Now, as sleep improves, so does your ability to manage stress, which brings me to the next pillar, number 4, stress support. In midlife, stress becomes more expensive. We start to see adverse changes in cortisol, higher baseline levels, a disrupted daily rhythm, and we see this clearly in the research. Chronic stress drives physiological changes that increases inflammation and long-term health risk. And that shows up as more inflammation, greater blood sugar variability, and a reduced ability to recover from stress. It's kind of like a tornado effect. So that same level of stress that felt manageable in your 30s can feel significantly more overwhelming in your 40s and 50s, which is why nervous system regulation is no longer optional. It becomes essential for how you feel, think, and function every day. And one of the simplest practices I teach women is what I call a 2-minute reset. And I would love to walk you through this calm and connected reset right now. How does that sound? All right, so we're not doing squats, but I do want you to stand up. All right. I want you to take a deep breath and exhale through your mouth. Now, if you can, close your eyes and think of someone you love deeply. And I want you to hold onto that energy in your heart. And when you're ready, turn to someone next to you and give them the biggest hug. These small moments matter because every time you pause like this and connect, you shift your body out of stress and back into regulation. Did you feel that? You're sending a signal to your brain and body that says, I'm safe. Now, my go-to essential oils for nervous system regulation, well, it's a long list. It's Balance, Adaptive, Lavender, Bergamot, Clary Sage, Clary Calm, maybe even the Superwoman blend if you have it. These oils support the limbic system and help reinforce that safety signal in the brain that helps us feel more calm, relaxed, and safe. Bergamot and Clary Sage has been shown to reduce stress and overwhelm, and Clary Sage has been shown to support with depression and anxiety when breathed in. Now there's one final piece that brings it all together, which is pillar number 5. Gut and nutrition support. Your gut needs change in midlife. because it plays a key role in your overall health. And we really see this clearly in the research. We know that the gut microbiome is directly involved in estrogen metabolism, inflammation regulation, and nutrient absorption. And during perimenopause and menopause, we often see changes in microbial diversity. It's actually a decline, which impacts how efficiently the body regulates hormones and inflammation. So when our gut health is feeling off, we feel it everywhere. This isn't just about digestion, it's about whole body health. And that is why targeted daily support becomes important. We all know that food is medicine. It's molecular information. And when it comes to feeding your gut microbiome, we often need more support than food because our nutrition needs increase in midlife, but our absorption doesn't always keep up. So I want to highlight 3 of my absolute favorite products, the doTERRA, that I've been taking forever, the doTERRA makes. Number 1 is PB Restore. With 24 active cultures, a variety of carefully selected strains from 22 different species for incredible microbial diversity. Then we have TerraZyme. Did everyone travel with TerraZyme? I know I did. I never leave home without TerraZyme. Powerful digestive enzymes to support your body's constant production of enzymes, digestion, and absorption so that our nutrition turns into cellular energy. And then collagen and NMN from the MetaPower Advantage to support overall cellular health. When you support your gut daily, you give your body what it needs to stay resilient in this phase of life. And these 5 core pillars are considered lifestyle medicine. And lifestyle medicine is mitochondrial medicine. And they are some of the most powerful levers that you can implement daily to build a strong foundation for resilience. Because these aren't just habits anymore. They are your non-negotiables. Lifestyle habits that you commit to no matter what life throws your way. Because they are shaping who you are becoming. These habits aren't just nice to have. They are boundaries that protect your energy and your well-being. Now, I want you to take a moment. I want you to think about the pillars today, and I want you to come up with 1 to 3 non-negotiable habits. Maybe you've committed to them in the past that truly made a difference in how good you feel. And today, I want you to decide. I want you to choose what habits will you commit to starting next week. You don't need to do everything that we covered today. Just pick 1 to 3 non-negotiable habits and watch the ripple effects. Because what matters most is that they work for you and that they are aligned with the woman that you are becoming. Now close your eyes. And imagine waking up as that woman, feeling energized, grounded, strong. Imagine looking in the mirror at 50, 60, 70 years old and seeing a woman who is just getting started. Not fading, not negotiating with herself, stepping fully into her power. And here's why this matters for you in this room, each of you. Because when a woman steps fully into her power, she shows up differently in her life, in her business, in her leadership. And she doesn't just change it for herself. She leads other women through it. That is legacy. Because when women reclaim their energy, they don't just change their own lives. they change